Hi Dr.K fans, I'm Holly Randall.
Okay, first of all, I'm very excited today I can make an interview with my idol, Holly Randall.
Your idol?
Yeah, you're my idol, trust me, it's true.
I think you're putting one on.
Okay, so let's start the simple interview.
Okay.
There are some small questions and we want you first introduce your podcaster to Chinese fans.
Okay, so my podcast is called Holly Randall Unfiltered, and in it I interview people involved in the adult industry and sometimes people who are just involved in like the sex work industry in general. Sometimes I have therapists on, sex educators on, so it's not just people who do porn, but it's primarily people who work in the porn industry. And really the ultimate goal of the podcast is to just share with the world what the porn industry is really like. I'm really trying to fight the stigma that a lot of people associate with porn, and I really just want to humanize the industry and give the performers and the directors and everybody who works behind the scenes a voice.
Okay, so when did you decide to take this podcaster?
So my podcast will be 2 years old in about a month. So about almost exactly 2 years ago.
Okay, so we all know that you are the best photographer in the porn industry. So do you remember what was your mood when you first time take the porn photograph?
Oh man, I was terrified. So I started off working for my mother, Suze Randall, who is a very famous erotic photographer. And I remember the first time I actually did shoot like a nude girl. It was Amy Sweet, and she was actually a very good friend of mine. We'd become friends. We met through my mother because she was one of my mom's favorite models. And I was terrified. I couldn't like give her any direction. I couldn't like tell her to like take her clothes off or open her legs or anything like that. But fortunately, she was a really great model and she didn't need any direction. So she just went through all the motions and did everything. And I just sat there and just like pressed the button, like just completely terrified. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. And yeah, that was the first time.
Okay, so have you count how many photographics, actors and actors you have taken photos so far? How many? More than 100? Maybe more than 500?
Oh God. I mean, considering I've done thousands of shoots. Thousands. So I would say like definitely several hundred, probably 500, maybe more.
I can say half of the porn industry you had taken.
I've shot almost everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my God. And I'm very interested to know who are the top 3 your favorite porn actors.
Oh man, that's tough. You know, there's so many great people that I really love. Every time I give somebody this list, I always like think about all of the amazing people that I left off of it. But off the top of my head right now, I'll say Madison Ivy, Danny Daniels, and Angela White.
Oh, I know these 3. But they are famous, very famous.
Yes.
No matter in China or in America.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And what do you think are the most important conditions if the people want to be the best photographer?
The best photographer for porn or just in general?
For porn.
Okay, well, the most important thing is how you treat the model. Making sure that you have a comfortable environment, somewhere that the girl feels safe, that she feels sexy, that she feels comfortable. I think a lot of people tend to sometimes forget that models are people. And especially if you're dealing with a new, inexperienced model, they can be a little bit scared. You know, it's very intimidating to take your clothes off in front of a bunch of strangers. So I think the most important thing really is just to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they feel safe and that they have a good experience.
Okay. Do you have some secret ways to guide the girls, how to show their most sexy side in the camera?
Well, man, it just depends. I do find that I have to work a lot with posing with the newer models especially. I'm really big on hands. Hands are like something that I'm very particular about. A lot of people don't know what to do with their hands. If you shoot people who aren't used to being in front of the camera, the one thing that you'll usually hear from people is like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So like working on your hand placement is something that I'm really big on. Because when you notice if you start to notice hands, you can't unnotice it, and a really weird like claw-like hand can ruin a photo. So that's one thing I'm super picky about. Otherwise, I would say just like trying to keep the shoulders down, trying to keep the body kind of out, like elbows out, arms out, rather than like, you know, people tend to shrink up into a ball when they're nervous. So really trying to remind people that as a model, you really want to like take up the space in the photograph, you know, like you own that square right there, or that rectangle, whatever, that image that you're in, you own it, and to really like take the space up and really own that image.
So, which one do you prefer in the roles of photography and the director? We know you are director, right?
Yeah, I think in my heart I will always like be a photographer. When people ask me what I do for a living, I say photographer. But obviously video has become more and more important, and so directing has become a bigger part of my job. And I would say it's definitely, you know, the video is now more important than the photographs. So at my heart, I'm a photographer, and that's really what I love. But directing has presented all kinds of new challenges and exciting opportunities. So I'm enjoying that too, but I still feel like I'm very much on a learning curve with directing. Whereas, I mean, with photography, I'm always learning too. You never stop learning, but directing still feels kind of new to me.
So how many videos have you directed so far?
How many videos have I directed?
Yeah.
Oh, thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I had to start shooting video alongside photos years ago, you know, because the change started many years ago. So yeah, I've directed thousands of videos.
Okay. So as a director, when you choose an actress, which part will be pay more attention? The face, the body, or the scales, or anything?
I mean, I think that as a girl, I'm like always drawn to the face first. That's like the first thing that I see. So like for me, it's more about the face than anything. Obviously the body definitely comes into play as well, but it's easier to work with flaws in a body than it is to work with flaws in a face. Like there's certain strategic things you can do to work with somebody who's got like some problem areas. Like if they have a midsection they don't like, you can put like a corset on them or drape some kind of something around it. If they have like a weird shaped boob job, you can do kind of like a cupless bra that will hold their boobs up, but like readjust it, you know, like there's things that you can do. But with a face, I mean, obviously great makeup does a lot, but there's not a lot you can do there. You know what I mean?
And what's your dream?
What's my dream?
Yeah, it's a big question, I know, but what's your dream?
My ultimate dream, like of all time?
All-time dream.
My ultimate dream would be to have my podcast become even bigger, and to actually really start to make a living on it, and really start to focus more on that, because I very much enjoy that. And also just to be able to create more for myself. I do love working for the clients that I work for, and I appreciate their work so much. But I think everybody ultimately wants to create their own product, something that carries their own vision. And that's something that I'm definitely moving towards. And I mean, I guess like a good short-term goal is I'm working on my own photography art book right now. So finishing that book and having an art show is like, that's kind of like my short-term dream.
Do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies, yes. Yeah. Well, I used to do boxing. Boxing was like a big love of mine. Yeah, I did it for 5 years, but then I developed acute tendonitis in my shoulder, so I had to give that up like a year ago, which was heartbreaking. So, but boxing is what got me like addicted to exercise. So I exercise a lot. And for me, it's more about keeping me mentally stable than it is like just my physical condition, because exercise is just so good for the mind and helping to deal with stress, which I have a lot of. Otherwise, I would say that I enjoy traveling, though I don't get to do that as often as I would like because I work so much. So I'm not sure if you could call that a hobby. Gardening is something that my boyfriend and I are kind of getting more into this summer. We're starting to plant things. We're making a little succulent garden. So I think probably if you wanted to pick a hobby that I do consistently, I would say reading. I read a lot. So that would probably be like, that's probably like my #1 hobby.
Okay. Have you go to China before?
I have never been to China, no.
If you have opportunity to direct a movie in China, which Chinese movie star you really want to cooperation with?
I'm assuming that we're talking about directing a mainstream movie, because I'm pretty sure porn is illegal in China. Oh my God, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't watch a ton of movies, so I'm not familiar with a bunch of actors' names. I know there's some great Chinese actors out there, but I couldn't tell you their names. Like if you showed me pictures of them, I'd be like, that one, but I don't know their names off the top of my head.
Okay. And can you tell us, what do you think are the real success in this industry? What's the real success for the actors, or for the director?
I think what is a true measure of success is independence. Is being able to create your own content, having a passive income, and not having to rely always on bookings or clients to be able to pay your rent. If you can get by on making your own stuff and get by on your own brand and not have to rely so heavily on, you know, getting jobs from other people, I think that's a great measure of success.
Do you have your own brand?
I do have my own brand.
Can you introduce something about this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Holly Randall brand would be, you know, glamour. I mean, that's always been like the forefront of my content. Female friendly or couples friendly content. I generally tend to shoot stuff that's not like so rough or so extreme. More, I guess romantic could be the way. Romantic, sensual is a good way to describe it. I definitely pay a lot of attention to detail. So, you know, just really beautiful imagery. And then with my podcast, I really try to use it as, like I said, a platform to give the voice to the performer. I've always been like pro performer. You know, I really want the people who work so hard to make the porn that we all enjoy to feel heard, to feel like they matter, to feel that they have a voice, especially the women. So I think that that's kind of all those things encapsulate my brand.
I remember in 2013, the AVN named you one of the most influential women in the industry.
Yes.
Do you think this award have impacted your career?
I don't know. I was actually honestly quite surprised to be named one of AVN's most influential women. I didn't see that one coming, but I really appreciated it. I mean, I don't know if that title directly affected my career. I don't know how much weight it carried. I do feel like I've become more and more successful the longer I've been in the industry. And I just think that's kind of a testament to my professionalism, how hard I work, how consistent I am, how reliable I am. I'm easy to work with. I really take my job seriously. I really take my clients' needs and wants seriously. And I really just try to produce a good product.
Last question is my personal question. Do you have some target? What's my target mean? For example, when you direct your 2000 movie, you get ready to stop it, or you get ready to quiet. Do you have a number target for this?
When I want to retire?
Yeah. It's my personal question.
I can't imagine like retiring. I mean, especially these days in our economy with the way that maybe nobody in my generation will have Social Security and the cost of living in LA. I'm also just like a type A personality. I work a lot. I like to feel productive. I like to always be doing something, creating something. And I just really love my job. So I can't imagine retiring. I have to say, like, the idea hasn't even, I mean, it's definitely crossed my mind, obviously, because one day I'll be like too old to do this. But I guess it gets, whenever it gets to the point where I just don't want to go to work anymore. I just don't love my job. I dread it. And obviously, if I feel financially stable enough to stop, that'll probably be when I retire. But that's going to be a long time in the future.
Okay, so can you tell us who will be the next porn star you invite to your podcaster?
Okay, so the next girl that I have booked for my podcast is Carmen Karma. We are going to be doing an interview like in July. I actually, because the way, podcasts work is that they're not like live. You record them and then you release them. So what I do is I record a lot of episodes back to back depending on my shooting schedule. And then I release them every Wednesday. So because I'm not shooting too much in June because a lot of my crew is out of town, I had a lot of time to record interviews. So my July is going to be crazy, crazy busy. I have so many shoots in July, so I won't have that many time to do podcast interviews. So a lot of the interviews I did in June will actually post in July. So far I haven't really started booking a lot of new guests just because I have everything like scheduled to almost the 1st of August. So Karma is the next one because she's from out of town and she just finished a book and she wants to promote the book and she wants to come on my show and talk about some of her struggles and basically about her book. And so we picked a date. So I'm very much looking forward to having her on.
Will you invite Brandy Love?
I would love to invite Brandy Love. I've asked her. I have asked her, and here's the problem: is that she doesn't live here, right? So a lot of times because a lot of people ask me to have guests come on that live out of town, and the thing is that when they come in from out of town, they're generally out here just shooting, right? Because they come in here to work, and so it's difficult for them to find time to come on my podcast when they're booked every day. So that's why I'm actually taking my podcast to the AVN show in 2020, and in Las Vegas, and I'm going to have a table at the Mini Vids booth, and I'm going to interview people there. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of the stars that I haven't really had a chance to get in here at the AVN show because everybody will be there at one time.
If you have a chance to invite Brandy Love, please tell me.
I will. I will.
Super fans.
I will. Yeah, she's great.
Okay, that's it. It's all of questions.
Okay, cool.